Stop it.
Wow. Well, that wasn't just very nice. Welcome back to another episode of the League of Extraordinarily Large Gentlemen with myself, Eric.
Drew.
I'll be Phil, and coming back to us from the Lost Lands. Who's that over there?
Thanks, Jeff.
Excellent. Jeff is actually our comic book person. He is the awesome when it comes to doing that sort of thing. But today we will not be talking about comic books, unfortunately for Jeff. We will be talking about one of the greatest game series ever made, which is
Final Fantasy.
That's right. Now, Drew, you wanted to say something about Final Fantasy VII, actually. Please, regale us.
Oh, that'd be delightful. So, recently, and as far as recently is concerned, you know, in internet terms, it's years ago, but it was a week or two ago, Square Enix decided to announce that they were bringing Final Fantasy VII to PS4. A brilliant move, in my opinion. Truly masterful. If they just left it at that.
Yeah, you sound like you have some sort of problem with
My
Final
hopes
Fantasy.
and dreams.
Oh boy, I'm about to dash those, aren't I?
Go for it.
All right. Well, they immediately go and say we're just porting over the Steam version with the updated polygons and the music quality. They weren't again dashing hopes and dreams like they always have been. It's getting to a level where even the most hardcore Half-Life 3 people have to be going, that's pretty bad. But, again, what can you do at this point? There are greater minds that have said many times over that to actually make the game the way people would envision it, which would be, full voice acting, 3D graphics, the whole 9 yards, you'd have to do it from the ground up. And if you're looking from a money standpoint, there's nothing there. They'll get the diehard holdouts that'll spend the money on it. And beyond that, maybe a few people will get it. And at a $60 price tag, which is usually the running gag at this point for pricing for most games, for more of the major console, it's about the standard issue fare, $60, $70 sometimes, depending on what version you get.
See, the thing about... Okay, first of all, I don't understand why there's complaining about any port on any system, although I would not personally be a big... I'm not a big console fan, not at all. I'm a total PC gamer these days. I did back in the day, and I just wanted to mention really quickly that what we're watching right now, what you're seeing on the screen, is the Final Fantasy III intro, which I think is probably one of the most greatest Final Fantasy games. And it's very important, by the way, for all those YouTube copyright people. We don't own this. We don't even close to own this. This is copyright Squaresoft 1993, all right?
I would love to say I own that.
You mean before Square Enix?
Yeah, before it was Squeenix.
Damn it, you beat me to it.
Ah, sorry.
Squeenix.
Squeenix.
It's vintage, though. It's a good wine. It's a good vino that we're drinking here.
Oh, God, yes. I mean, Final Fantasy III, in my personal opinion, and I think we should all go around and say our personal favorite Final Fantasy game, so I'll start. Final Fantasy III, hands down, my personal favorite game. Best graphics for the time, great, amazing storyline, the amount of characters. Are you talking about
American 3 or Japanese 3? Gotta be specific.
Okay, we're clearly looking at Japanese 6 here. Which is American 3.
As for all of those the Japanese numbers were completely different from ours. Or there may have been other games. I don't really know.
It's like Windows operating systems. They go from 7, 8, 10. Yeah. But, hey, at least Final Fantasy had an excuse.
If you say so.
Well, they had some of their games, as a lot of nerds would know.
Yeah.
Some of the games just released in Japan, and some of the games, here in America. And here in America, like this was 3 in America. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All those other games that I've actually played a lot of them, and they are good.
Oh yeah. Was it 5? I'm thinking 5 was the job class, or am I getting that mixed?
No, yeah, 5 was the job class one, the one that was...
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, I know.
Brilliant.
The only thing about that was I felt I had an airship parking lot. Literally, I had 5 airships at one point, and I was just parking them next to my hometown, going, which one am I going to pick up today? It's like, oh, this one that goes to the moon.
Do I want the Bentley or the Porsche?
The Porsche. Do I want the Lamborghini or the Porsche today?
think I'll take my
Damn the
regular
choices.
ship.
Which we don't own either. We don't own neither Lamborghini nor Porsche.
Actually, we don't own anything.
No, I own this computer. That's about it that we're recording off of.
And I might steal it later, so you don't know.
He might. So anyway, Drew, what is your favorite Final Fantasy? Please say 7.
No, I will not say 7. You can't,
That's not his
make
favorite.
me. Final Fantasy VIII is my favorite.
Oh, really?
And I'm not gonna. Yes,
Oh,
yes, it is.
all right.
Because I gotta be the monkey wrench in your works.
Apparently.
I'm sorry, but
What? 8 was pretty good.
A work
yes, someone who agrees with me.
Pretty good, yes. Top-notch Final Fantasy? Nah.
If you don't include
That's
8 in
all
your
an
top
eye
3,
beholder.
if you don't include 8 in your top 3, I really don't think you were paying attention to it or gave it the fair shake it deserved. Honestly, top 3.
No, I could do that very simple. My top 3 are Final Fantasy 3, 7, and 10.
I like 10, but I love 8.
If I didn't have and fourth is actually 5, the airship parking lot. I love me some airship parking lot.
It's hard to argue, but I believe 8 was. Well, you know what? It's yours. You run with it. I could say I could write a love letter to 8 any day. Please tell me why you like it.
If you get past some of the weird side things and the fact that the main character was well too brooding to be happy, and I'm being redundant when I say that. Obviously, the storyline was interesting. The way every other character interacted with every other character other than the main character was very organic. I never felt like there was anything that was too far off. Now there are those who are probably going to tell me, Zell was a overactive, hyperactive, cliche. Fine. You could always go and do that. You could always say he was a male Tifa, too. There are so many different ways to punch it in the throat. It's not about the concept of what things borrow from, because honestly, that's just how it rolls.
Male Tifa.
Mifa.
No.
What's your
You
favorite
walked
character
into
from
that
Final
one,
Fantasy
alright?
7?
You walked
Mifa.
Mifa.
Jeff, moving on. Jeff, what's your favorite Final Fantasy, sir?
I'm gonna say 9.
Wow.
I liked it. It was it just it was the storyline for me. That kind of did here. Plus the fact that during when you're playing this game here, you actually gave you the prompts to tell you, hey, press select or whatever button it was at the time there. You see what your other characters are doing. And so you had the party, that there. You can also see how they were interacting with other people and other things.
I like that concept. Honestly, Final Fantasy IX is actually one of the few Final Fantasy games I never touched.
Wow.
I liked it,
Yeah.
and I will say this though, and I mean that was kind of this was the last RPG I ever really played. That's only because of the fact that I never really managed to play RPGs correctly because I got to disc 3, and I was so horribly underleveled.
Final Fantasy disc
I
17.
mean, they were like 40-ish, and I was like 30. I mean, every fight I got into at that point was a boss battle for me.
Let me ask you something. Was this right after when you first get the airship? Like you don't get to pilot it around, but you get on the airship.
Yeah, I think because
that is for at least what I call an escalation issue, and I ran into that myself. It's where everything is going like a regular pace, and just normally playing the game will get you through. And then you hit an escalation issue where now, hey, what's up? You're not welcome in this town.
Yeah, I loved everything about it. I loved the characters. I loved the Black Mage. I love the fact that he was going through the whole, do I have a soul? Am I just a manufactured thing here? Because he finds that factory full of clones of himself.
That's
You had
one
the
thing-
Blue Mage who ate things. You had Sedania, who I thought was pretty badass because you get daggers where he can have kind of like a dual sword.
That's one thing I really wanted to touch on. Final Fantasy doesn't pull punches when it comes to its storyline.
No.
All of their storylines have been pretty amazing. I mean, everybody could mention Final Fantasies that don't have good storylines. Mystic Quest! But, the look... I wish you could see the look on Phil's face, audience. I wish you could see it.
Blushed out the
It
trip
was-
tonight. And you know
Wow.
what? Still had some fun playing it.
I amazingly did. I played through the entire thing, and I was
can't-
just like, "Oh, this is a terrible. This is the worst Final Fantasy game I've ever played." But it's not the
call
worst
it
game.
a Final Fantasy game. I can't do that.
Phil, it's right in the box. It says Final Fantasy.
You know what? There's a lot of things on boxes I just don't pay attention to, and that's why I am the way I am.
Moving on, though, Phil, what was your favorite Final
my
Fantasy?
goodness. All right, so first off, as the resident RPG nerd,
Yeah, you got to make this good, man.
First off, I'm going to go around and just congratulate each of you on your choice for various different reasons. One, and this says a lot about you. This says a great deal about you, what you care about. One, 3 or 6, whatever we'll call it 36.
Right.
Eventually we'll get
Good
there.
old Final Fantasy 36.
Good old 36. That is a traditionalist game, sir. That is a traditionalist game where you have a quest and you have heroes and all of the world hinges on the balance of it, and it's right out of the gate. You know, it's brilliant. It has an opening act that lays the stakes. Biggs and Wedge get it because that's just what happens to them.
Right, yeah.
It's a beautiful game, and I see that and I say that's a traditionalist over there.
I truly am.
Yeah, let's go over to my main man, Drew. You have picked the Philosopher's Game because if there is anything, there's only one other game that I would say had more philosophical merit than 8, and that would be Xenogears. Because that game cracked your brain open and introduced you to id, ego, various overminds.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, same people, same Squaresoft, except for this wasn't Final Fantasy because this was not a fantasy. This was Nightmare given screaming form. That's a very thinking game. It's just like those characters. You could really feel they had depth to them, and that. As they grew and mature, things really changed and were put on the line. Identity was a huge issue in that game. I loved it. 9. Bold choice. All of it was about story. It's very much I'd say almost... It's the action. It's the action Final Fantasy thing. It is the very action... I mean, the fights are brilliant.
I love the fact that you can do combos in the game. You know, like, look, you paired the knight with the mage here. You have magic sword attacks now, all of a sudden. Now, all of a sudden, you know...
Combos like Chrono Trigger-esque?
Yeah.
Well, it was like, okay, magic, he had the black mage and he had the knight in there. The black mage, you know, charged up the knight's sword here so he could do, like, you know, like, he can swing. He swung his sword, he's like, also he had fire, you know.
That is totally like Chrono Trigger, like dual attacks.
Electricity, or blizzard, you know? And it was amazing, you know?
But, by the way, just a quick note, Chrono Trigger, my favorite RPG game of all time. But anything that's Chrono Trigger-esque, I want to try. So Jeff here has made me want to play that game.
It actually does have a lot of the feel of Chrono Trigger. What's his name? Zidane is a very... Zidane, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think
it's been so many years since I played it. It's just like a very interesting character. He's like, is he a thief? Is he a fighter? You know, where does he come from? And his story just unfolds.
Well, you know, and the princess alone, her story, you know, you find more about her, you know, and the fact that she doesn't want to be, you know, halfway through, she doesn't want to be, you know, a tool for anybody, you know?
Vivi, man, that just gets you right there in the heart. His story,
right there in the fields,
all up in the fields.
Like I said, is he a clone? Is he
I love.
You never know it. You're wondering in this game. You feel for the little guy because you know you meet him. You know, he's like he has personality, but he finds his other people like him. You know, and he tries to talk to them, and they're just totally like, Golem-like. You know, just they're all doing whatever they were set to do.
Phil, I hate to interrupt, and I appreciate all of your compliments to all the other league members here, but you, sir, are stalling. We want to hear your favorite Final Fantasy game.
Well, guys, prepare for your minds to be blown. Final Fantasy Tactics.
I knew you were going to say that.
Oh, yes.
I felt that. In fact, if you didn't say that, I was clearly going to mention it right afterwards. Final Fantasy Tactics, what a game. Now, if you guys haven't played this, imagine combining, like, chess and a Final Fantasy RPG and just having that kind of battle system. That was my favorite part about any tactics game. That battle system, it was amazing. It wasn't just, you take a turn, I take a turn. You take a turn, I take a turn. It had so much to it. But go on. It's your game.
Alright, Tactics was brilliant on many levels. Yes, it felt like really these characters now matter. Like before, you'd have 1 or 2 characters like, oh, he's pretty cool. It's like, alright, who's the best? Who's the biggest badass in all of Final Fantasy Tactics? Why, that would be Sid, the Thunder God, bringing the Lord's love to everybody. because if the other side somehow confused or mind controlled him, you could count the entire party as wiped out.
Now, here's actually I want to disagree with you, just because I think that every Final Fantasy game had characters that you really, really cared about.
I'm not talking about care about. I'm talking about effectiveness.
Oh, effectiveness. Okay.
No, he was just straight up OP. Let's not sugarcoat that at all. Orlando as a character was the most OP character that you had access to in both versions of Final Fantasy X.
Best incarnation of the Cid character.
Okay.
I gotta say.
Shadow says otherwise, alright?
Shadow.
Yeah, clearly.
Shadow just left your party, Jeff.
Because you don't deserve Shadow.
By the way, speaking of Shadow, if you don't know that the game that's playing right now, that's where Shadow comes from. Shadow was an amazing character. I think very, very dark, very brooding, and he left your party at all the wrong times.
But pro tip though, what you want to do is the first time you kind of put all your best gear on him. Like you got wear gear. Or stuff like if you got the Genji armor or anything like that, you put it all on Shadow that first time. Because I tell you, the experience will be transcendent.
Phil, what did me and Drew say in the last podcast about lying?
I'm not
what did
lying.
we say? Drew,
I'm not lying to you.
Tase him.
I'm not lying to you. I'm just lying to people who haven't played this. They deserve
That was a warning shot.
Okay.
The next one's for your testicles.
The truth about Shadow is you never, ever put the best gear on him. In fact, the best thing to do with Shadow is go in the first town you have Shadow with and buy 52 dirks so you can just toss them at people.
Yep.
Okay.
Don't give Shadow anything that you want to see because Shadow will come back. You're like, Shadow, where's all that amazing gear I put? Oh, I sold it because I'm crazy.
No, I think actually Shadow was an alcoholic. I want to get into this a little bit. Every time his gear was stripped, and you'd always catch him at a bar, spending all the gear money.
Well, if we're going to do a spoiler, at the later half of the game, if you didn't get Shadow in that first bind, guess where you find him?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you found him strung out in an alley.
Yeah, Shadow was a drunken ninja. I mean, seriously, how could you argue that Final Fantasy III is not the best Final Fantasy with a drunken ninja in it?
Here's how I can bring up tactics back to the thing. It's a great game for many things, but the storyline, my goodness, the storyline. There's some things in tactics where, oh man, in Final Fantasy games, a lot of them are like, oh, here's the end of the world, here's the apocalypse coming, here's this and here's that. Tactics was about it was about revolution. It was about people literally dying in the streets, going and rising up against the oppressors and people who constantly put them at war. It was a crazy game. I believe the first chapter was the Meager. It's about the first battle you fight. You are a bunch of academy recruits. You are the sons and daughters of noble lords. You lived a life of luxury. And what happens is there's a bunch of bandits who are attacking the town. And you're sent out because all the other soldiers are massed somewhere else, and you're told to go kill the bandits. And of course, you do. You go, you fight the bandits because it's life or death. And that's how it happens. And you find out why are these bandits attacking? Because they're starving to death. They are starving to death because they are soldiers from one of the armies that is disbanded and have been left hundreds of miles from home with no money and just their weapons.
Yeah, okay. Granted, great storyline. Don't get me wrong, but and you've mentioned this before, so I'm going to use your kind of your own tactics against you here.
Tactics,
yeah. Anyway,
Cheap shot.
You mentioned this before that about Final Fantasy III. Final Fantasy III, to my knowledge, is the only game where the general from the other army commits an actual war crime.
Yes, I have brought this up. There's a lot of ludicrous things. However, this is where I'm going to top you because, of course, I maintain my secret moves so that I may use them on you later.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
All right. So we have Kefka.
Sounds sexy.
Who is who's a crazy general, and we got a bunch of villains in the Final Fantasy series. A lot of them are otherworldly. Kefka is the only one of these persons up to that point who literally goes and does something that if it happened in the real world, which unfortunately has, would get you brought up for war crime charges. They are trying to siege this town, and there's this one amazing dude out in front of it who's a swordsman who's literally just saying, "You shall not pass," and is cutting everyone down, no matter how many people they send at him. He's just cutting them down one after another. So Kefka comes up and his crazy laughing self says, "Interesting. We're going to poison the water supply.
Yeah.
Because, we'll just kill the entire city. Because who cares? That's how I roll." The other soldier's like, "You're pretty insane." And he's like, "Yeah, I'll murder you too. I'll murder everyone here. I'm dressed as a jester."
Yeah, Kefka didn't really give a fuck. Kefka is the honey badger, sir. Kefka don't give a fuck.
Yeah. And like the honey badger, Kefka doesn't stay down very long.
Yeah, no.
Alright, so, who's worse than Kefka? Why?
That's an excellent question. Let's go around and get opinions. I'm going to start with Drew on this one because me and Phil have been...
Yep. I will finish that off. Oh, yes.
See, here's the major question. Are we asking who's the most despicable? Or who's the most bad by concept of just what the concept of evil is?
I'd say despicable.
I like using despicable, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, by actions wise, or do you think they should fight this person, or just what this person was trying to do?
Actions, I think
let's just-
background in general.
Yeah, we'll stick with the basics. And I know many people are going to jump to Sephiroth, but it's too hard to go to that.
No, you can't.
It was he's a tragic villain.
Sephiroth is unfortunately a product of his environment.
Yep, everything that he became was because of something else.
So-
and you could always say that, but he was the one who made the final decision. If you really go into the series, he made nothing. No decisions that he had were made by himself. They were made for him because he was a product of the company he worked for.
Who would you jump to then?
Wow. I would have to say Ultimecia from the game that I like, Final Fantasy VIII. The concept of isolation is a ridiculous one, and her major priority was essentially just to be the only one left. She just wanted ultimate isolation, and there to be essentially no one around her, for selfish reasons mostly. Personal power. Basically be the only one left in essentially all of time, space, and otherwise. In my opinion, that's just horrifying. Eric.
Well, I mean, okay, I hate to do this. I hate to be like, well, my game has the better villain, and I like my game's villain. I really do like Kefka. He's despicable in a crazy sort of, I would almost say Joker sort of way.
Well,
I know we have the whole like jester thing going on, but his relation, like his how do I put this? When comparing him to the Batman villain Joker, he has a lot of similarities. He just doesn't care. He's doing things because he just wants to. I mean, he's just pure despicable evil, just straight up. And I don't think the isolationist thing is very despicable. Granted, I'll give you that. But I don't know. Like, it's almost like Kefka wants people around to torture, and I think for me on a level that's a little bit worse. Like the desert sand scene where he's just sitting there coughing, be like, there's sand on my shoe, and he's like, oh, sorry, sir, and he just laughs at them because he thinks they're so much lower of human beings than him. Just everybody to him was minuscule, and that makes him just a horrible person. That's my take on it. Jeff.
Well, if we're going to say here, I have to go, say to 9. She was a minor villain per se, but I felt that what she was doing, how she's going about it, was very evil. Was the Queen Brain Brawn? I can't say her name.
Oh God, awful
Because
creature.
Because she got corrupted, obviously by by the more main villain,
Kuja.
Kuja. But just the fact that she was going to use her own adopted daughter to use the Eidolons, if you play Nevernight, you know who those are, to take over, the continent of Mist over. And I just felt that, at the point that she was truly a despicable person because she cared nothing, of, say, the lives she was going to crush, in order to do this. You don't conquer, or take over, a continent, or let's say the world, without killing people, let alone sacrificing your own adopted daughter. Now, mind you, it was adopted, and people go, but still, it's like just.
As the Phil, as the RPG expert, before you answer this, I want you to, between the three villains that we talked about, who do you think, out of all three of us, was more correct in saying our villain was more despicable? We all picked our own games.
All right. Well, here's the problem I'm going to have with these. First, I'm gonna just give the answer Kefka, and there's a reason. All right. One, Ultimecia is insane, completely out of her gourd, and also a godlike being, like almost incomprehensible, really.
Well, all the sorceresses were technically all godlike beings.
I know.
They were mortals essentially given magical powers. But hers, again, between her and Adele, or was it Adele or Abel? It was Adele.
Yeah.
The old sorceress from Estar, the actual ruler of Estar. It just... Go ahead.
I feel sorry for Ultimecia. I have sympathy. Because that's got to be like what she goes through. That's horrifying. You wouldn't wish that on anybody. Okay, I feel sympathy for her. The same way I feel sympathy for Sephiroth. Despicable what you do. No, not going to question. Everyone has to die. It's total annihilation. It's not really a lot worse you can do than that. But I mean, I feel some level of sympathy for anyone who's that crazy and lashes out. Crazy ass queen. Kind of the thing. She's a puppet, and she's despicable, and she really needs to be dealt with. But in the reality, the thing is, I don't think she's as bad as Kefka, because I don't think she really knows any better. Because a lot of the times they play her up as almost childlike and stupid. What are those jesters now? Those jesters are pure freaking evil. The little dancey jesters around her that are working for the big guy.
Yeah, but I just never really trusted them, because they merged the face of boss. I mean, I could have chosen the one-eyed female general. She was a villain too, but
Beatrix.
But Beatrix is just a soldier following orders, for the most part. Can't say she's evil there.
Kind of reminds me of Celeste.
I mean, that's the thing. I will say, yeah, she, in that game, probably is the most despicable, just for that. It's like, yeah, it's true. She adopted a daughter, and, that's a huge trust. And what she was horrifying.
Yeah, she was going to sacrifice her, if I'm not mistaken correctly.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, she was going to do it, then you had to save her, and that's when,
Such an underrated game all around, though. Like, 9 gets so much nonsense from people, and I think just play it. Play it and take it for what it is.
You kidding me? I love even when the fact that you meet that one, what's her name, the little girl, and she find out she's a summoner just like the princess, except that she's a horn, to help to focus her power, all that shit like that.
That's what 9 I think really did. 9 gave you reason for a while. A lot of their classic characters looked the way they did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they met, because she's like, oh, you lost your horn, shit like that. If I can help you, teach you what she was raised to be,
Okay, so you've chosen in between what we've talked about, but how about your personal feeling? I mean, there's a lot more Final Fantasies to choose from.
Okay, well, this requires some explaining, because if you haven't played Tactics, this isn't going to make any sense to you. Dicedarg. Okay? This is a guy who commits, let's see here, patricide, kills his fratricide, kills his brother, attempts regicide at some point. He will do anything for power. Nothing matters to him whatsoever. He poisons his father so he can move up in rank. He kills his one brother and then has him turned into a zombie to go and try and kill the other. He starts a war of succession, counting costless lives, all just so that he can move up in his own rank in this twisted scheme with the church and all of its nonsense. He is a monster in human form. And that's before anything is done with him. No outside influences, no otherworldly voices whispering in his ear, like you get with a lot of Final Fantasy things. He starts off as a terrible person, and he goes down as a terrible person.
I think that's really a good choice. I'm not sure if I completely agree that it's that he's more terrible than Kefka. However, like I can see a lot of the points you're trying to make there. I just wanted to take a moment. And I wanted to share a personal Final Fantasy experience with the group and the rest of the interwebs, of course. Pretty much, this is the stupidest thing I've ever done in any Final Fantasy. So, when I first picked up my first Final Fantasy game, which was surprisingly Final Fantasy 1, a lot of people didn't actually start with Final Fantasy 1. Guys, what Final Fantasy did you guys start with? I mean, just real quick. Drew?
1.
Oh, you did start with 1. Jeff?
7.
7, okay. It's a respectable game. A lot of people did. And Phil?
American 2.
American 2. Okay, so...
4, I think, Jeff?
Yeah, actually, that's one of my favorite ones. Good freaking game.
Yes.
The Dark Knight Cecil and everything. Okay, anyway, but here, so I picked up Final Fantasy 1, and this is the group I chose. If you don't know, hold on a second. It was Fighter, Black Mage, White Mage, and Red Mage. Oh, I'm sorry. and then Black Belt, right?
It was. I thought that's what you said you chose.
No.
My head hurts.
Oh, well, I chose something worse, but my lineup was because when I was young, I was very I like swords sort of guy. So I chose 3 fighters and 1 white mage. So I thought this would be a great combination. Now, I had no idea how to equip weapons. I thought you bought them, it was equipped. Okay? Thought that just happened. So I went through the entire, and this took me days. Okay, I went through the entire first dungeon punching the F out of everything I saw.
My goodness.
Like, just a bunch of fighters punching.
No thanks, old man. I don't need that sword. I got my fighting board right here.
Fighting board. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
My fist. Now, this would have been excellent if I chose 3 black belts and a white mage.
You would have completely just plowed.
Because I just plowed through it. But no, of course. Now I was so upset because the second town I figured out how to equip weapons, and I was like, son of a bitch. But the great thing was I was so over leveled for the next 3 towns.
Wait! I can equip something? Holy crap! This game has got awesome.
You've just made your last mistake, game. You gave me weapons.
and I thought it was great because for the next three towns I was just annihilating. I didn't even have to grind. It was just annihilating things because I went through the entire first dungeon with just my fists. Okay.
Good lord.
Okay, so that's a great. Do you got a crazy story of either stupidness or why? Why would this be in an RPG?
Unfortunately, I have to go with your game. My dumbest moment was in Final Fantasy Tactics.
Please tell me Gafgarian.
No, it wasn't Gafgarian. That actually wasn't the worst because I ended up following the strategy guide for that one. The worst one was in random encounters across the actual map, because there's an overworld map and you essentially go from point to point. Some areas are just empty fields that actually have combat. There are others that are towns and cities and provinces that you go to for items, recruitment, fur pelt and spice. No lie, you can actually go and poach things.
It's actually a really good idea.
It was, once you figured out what you needed to go for. Well, what ends up happening is you occasionally will come across a random encounter. The random encounters are always linked to the highest level character that you have in your party, and it's pretty high up there by the time I got over there. So what ended up happening was I ended up coming across an entire group of gun users, because yes, they had guns in this. They were calling them ancient technology. And it was a giant assortment of different characters who could use guns, and one of them was a negotiator. The negotiator can affect how other characters interact with other characters and create status effects to negative and positive. You can recruit characters from other parties. So one of the other things that happened was he managed to get over to Orlando, who was essentially was charmed. And, well, in my desperation, because I had no way to break him of it, I didn't have any items on hand that essentially I could throw, like a remedy or anything at him. I went, okay, I'll just hit him with the most powerful attack I have and hope it all sticks. Yeah, no. He had an item on there that allowed him to absorb a specific element, and I just poured love onto him instead of hate like I wanted to. It was rather sad.
You mentioned Charmed real quick. That reminded me of once I was playing Final Fantasy III. Just a real quick side thing. Never let anybody charm Mr. Auto Crossbow. Just don't do it. because that guy will turn around and just annihilate your party.
Hey, buddy!
Oh, Terry, that's great that you can cast Ultima. Too bad, one shot with the Auto Crossbow and you're fucking down. It's a sad state of affairs. Anyway, Jeff, what do you got for us?
Okay, I'm gonna be vanilla here, unfortunately.
Oh, sad.
7.
Some people like vanilla.
So
I like vanilla with root beer.
Again, it was 7. It's it's attacking the optional weapons. Honestly, it was going against finding Ruby in the sand. Was it?
Was that that was in the desert.
Yeah, and then or attacking Emerald in the water.
Did you need some kind of material or something like that to
breathe in the water?
It's been so long since I played
clearly because I clearly did not have that. Now, see, the stupid thing was at the time I knew full on well what I was getting myself into. Honestly, I knew that attacking him was an act of suicide, and I went, hey, you don't have much to live for. Why not? Let's do this. And I attacked him, and he soundly spanked me, so. But that was after that, I never really, I learned my lesson and never did anything dumb again in RPGs.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, getting spanked by the optional bosses are not.
It's like I said, it's very vanilla. Unfortunately, I don't. At least I'm not a big RPG person per se. There are a few I play, but.
But it is something to see going against Ruby or Emerald, not being prepared for that.
Oh yeah, no, I was far from it. But people always were saying, "Oh yeah, no, the fight with Ruby's so hard," and I'm like, "Okay, well, I want to see." So I'm like, "Okay, well,
they weren't lying to you,
experimenting." Is excellent. Phil, I've been waiting for this one. Your story, Mr. RPG.
All right. I want to just comment something on Tactics, because Tactics has a lot of moments where you're like, oh, good. Everyone hates me. I played War of the Lions more after because I just thought the translation was better. They ramped that up, and there's one thing where if you don't have something that stops effects on your two main guys, one part they will both be charmed, and then they will just annihilate your party, and that will happen in the first round. You know what I'm talking about. It's those two dancer assassins who work for the Count of Vampire.
Wow, way to really jumble that one up.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking. That was a horrible first round, and it was no warning. It's either come in here with something that nulls all status effects or die.
And poaching for it was the hardest. Trying to get get any of the ribbon accessories was nigh impossible.
I just run in with an Enkai armlet.
No,
I want to say.
Yeah, it was Enkai, I believe.
Charm or confuse or whatever you want to call it in any Final Fantasy is just a ridiculous spell. Seriously, it turns a bunch of random encounters into a boss. Yep. It's ridiculous.
Now here comes the same thing. One of the moments I had that was about the same thing, except for what will happen in War of the Lions is you will run into team parties, and it will have the maximum number of people that can be on the other side. And they will be the level of your highest guy. At one point in the northern part, I ran into what had to be a 15-man team of level 73 monks. And I went into that, and part of me wanted to just pop out the little micro disc, put it in a microwave until it learned what it'd done wrong.
That would be very ridiculous.
It was a beating the likes of which I didn't even really get to move. They just came around and just killed everybody.
Speaking of very difficult fights, they did a lot of that, and I know a lot of people did not. Maybe a lot of people listening to this podcast, or a lot of people in this room did not play 5. I know you did, Phil. Right? Did you guys play 5?
No.
Oh, let me bring back one thing. Something different from Tactics and all the others. You can't run from a battle in Tactics. You go into a battle. You are there until you win or they win.
It's an interesting point because, as you know, in all Final Fantasies, all that I know of anyway, you can't run. You can run in regular battles, but boss battles you cannot run from. Now, In 5, like, it was weird because the ramp of difficulty went from pretty even, and then they just ramped it up, like, ridiculously.
Yeah, that's, like I was saying, that's,
Escalation.
an escalation issue.
Yeah, that truly...
Like I said, I was doing good, then this 3 came along, and bam, 40.
Like I said, I know exactly where you are because I, count where these escalation issues are to know that's when they either expect you to not be paying any more attention to it because you're already in a groove and everything going fine.
Oh, it was. I was enjoying myself.
Xenosaga had the worst escalation issue I've ever seen.
So I guess this would be an open letter to Squeenix. Dear Squeenix, play your own fucking games, please. So you realize some parts are just what the
Why?
like why exactly.
But we didn't get to my actual part. I'm sorry. I keep on grabbing this because I love the subject.
Oh, go ahead.
My weirdest part that happens to me in RPGs. Now, this was back in the day when I used to play a lot of PlayStation games. For some reason, in a lot of the third-party games, not the Final Fantasy games, not often at least, you have a point where you're fighting someone and they're of such a ridiculous high level than you to show you can't beat this guy. Well, there was a little thing called Game Shark, which said I could be whatever I felt like.
Yeah, true.
Let's see. I wish I could remember the game. It was something with elemental swords and something, and
so every RPG.
But except for it had a you was looking like whenever you got into a battle, it was like a side scroller, and you'd run at each other and slash, and there was combos. The first boss you fight in that basically has an elemental sword of darkness or some nonsense. Beats you to death, beats you immediately unconscious, and drags you away in chains. If you beat him, which you shouldn't be able to, there's no reason unless you're cheating, which I was. It goes and says, and then you and your friends merrily went off and lived a life of crime.
Nice.
Because you become tomb robbers or something crazy. It just ends the game there. Here's other two that did the same thing but was weirder. One of the Breath of Fires.
Oh, I think it was either 1 or 2. I love the Breath of Fire series, by the way.
It's the Horse Brothers, which if you fight them and they turn into like some sort of super horse, which is terrifying of its own accord, and he just beats you all and the party scatters. Or you're like me, I turn into a dragon and I eat you. And then it white screens and says, we're not having any of that. Thank you.
Is that what it says?
Oh, it just white screens. It stops. Star Ocean did the same thing. You're in a duel with this guy's like, I'm the greatest swordsman ever. You can't possibly beat me. You beat him, it's like the programmers are like, I have no idea what to do now, so we're just going to say it's over.
I believe those
You
battles
won, congratulations. Yay for you.
I believe those battles are referred to as forced loss battles.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
for storyline purposes. That's what they are.
Tales of Symphonia did that a couple times.
They had the one of the Breath of Fires, and I think it was Breath of Fire 2, and in the very beginning you were facing this gigantic monster, and you were the kid version of you with a stick. And I always wanted, you know what, one of these days I'm going to cheat my way and see what happens if you beat that thing.
I can tell you this, at least the Breath of Fire series had no contingency plan for that. They just, I can't possibly believe someone would use some sort of cheating device. It would just white screen.
Game what? Yeah, I know.
I don't know why they wouldn't, because that was the pretty much the golden heyday where games were programmed with cheat codes inside of them and shit like that.
All right, that reminds me of the worst sinner of all of this. All right, I don't know if many people play this, Azure Dreams. This was, as I have to say, weirdly enough, Japanese as a game could get back in the day. Which, like, you basically went up a...
Bill's a racist. Send all your racist hate mail to
Eric.
Oh,
yes.
Why you gotta do that?
I mean this in the sense that this was as true as to a Japanese-style very anime-sourced game, because it had a dating simulator in it, whereas... I know, and that's so weird, but I was a teenager and life was sad.
I am laughing so hard. Seriously, I had to...
But it was like a dating simulator, and Pokemons were in it.
Pokemons?
Because you could go and capture the Pokemons. and it's like, you climbed a tower, and each level changed. I think that's like a roguelike. It was called Azure Dreams, and if you haven't played it, it's really, really good up until a point.
That actually kind of reminds me of you mentioned Pokemons, and I'm not going to talk about Pokemon, don't worry, but I am going to talk about Chrono Trigger because that's what I do. And the new, quote unquote new, it's not that new anymore, but the DS version of Chrono Trigger actually had like a Pokemon's thing in there where you would like capture monsters and play against other people, and I'm like, why the are you throwing this in a Chrono Trigger game?
It begs the question, was that their original intent when they made the game? Because you saw there was a lot of added content. Some was positive, some was negative.
Hold on, let me stop you right there. A lot of added content. You ready? Run up the mountain, run down the mountain. Run up the mountain, run down the mountain.
But, may I get back to why Azure Dreams?
I'm sorry, yes.
While a wonderful sleeper of a game, why it's guilty of this. Alright, so the whole time you're playing this, you have like a monster that you level up. And you can go and get other monsters to level up. There's no real reason to. The one you start off with is the best. So you go up this tower, which I'm expecting to be like 100 levels high and crazy because I thought it was really difficult. And then I at the points I used the Game Shark to cheat because I just wanted to see what was happening. Only 40-something levels high. It was a lot easier than I thought it'd be. You go and you fight the main boss. And the main boss, of course, has storyline out of nowhere that isn't mentioned ever. Your companion, which I believe was called a Cune, leaves your party, and goes and forms like a missing arm on this guy and starts fighting you. And so here I am, I'm like, okay, well, it's a good thing I'm invincible, and so I'm just beating him back and forth, but it is taking a while. And then it took me to like, wait, no, you don't really mean this. Turn off the Game Shark. He beats me in like 2 hits. And then it stops. Cune's like, I can't kill him. He's my real friend. And then you beat him. The whole last final battle of that stupid thing is that whole thing. The guy you're supposed to lose, otherwise we can't progress.
It's a forced lost battle.
It was annoying after all that nonsense.
Didn't the Mother series have one at that point too? The giant statue of a character that was essentially fought that you weren't allowed to win against.
No, you can beat that statue if I'm not mistaken. We're talking the Magic Ant statue?
No, not the Magic Ant statue.
Wasn't
there a statue of is it Pokey or Porky?
You mean the evil idol? Or are you talking like the end of the game? The end of the game where the exact same thing happens and you can't possibly beat the bad guy anyway.
Yep.
Because you can't comprehend his attack.
You're talking about Gigas. No, it was something different.
You can't beat Gigas, you just plain can't.
Now, guys, this is a very interesting topic, but may I remind you, we are talking about the Final Fantasy series.
Oh, we lost sequiter on this a long time ago.
We are down the rabbit hole, but would you care to guide us out there?
Well, here's the thing. We've talked about a lot of great Final Fantasy games, like Hidden Gems, terrible games, Final Fantasy III, the best game ever, and of course Tactics, somewhere in there.
I'm just kidding.
Tactics is amazing.
What's the one that you dislike the most?
Oh, well, no. We've already been through that. I hate Mystic Quest the most.
You gotta...
What? Can you think of a worse Final Fantasy game? That's not where I was going with it, but
would have
Mystic
to say
Quest.
10.
Well, you hated 10 more than Mystic Quest.
I did not. I never played Mystic Quest.
Play Mystic Quest.
Now, do you not like 10 because of 10-2, or you just not like 10 because of the entire story?
Here's where it's going to get a little weird for me. I like 10-2, actually.
It's oh god.
My mind.
But I do not like...
I'm done. Thank you for listening, everyone.
Really? We're going to cock-block him right here, right now? That's fantastic. No, man. Give the man his time.
I got to hear this. This sounds amazing.
I did not like 10. I thought it was... The main character, well, he was annoying. I mean, he just nothing... there's nothing positive I can ever think of say about him, He was bland. He was just his story made no sense to me.
Almost seemed like some little girl dreamed him up, right?
Yeah, and it was all like he was the hopes and dreams of the people.
Don't help him.
And at least he played through it, and he has a legitimate gripes.
I did. I played it from all the way to the end of it.
He played it to the greatest game ever, Final Fantasy X2.
I like 10.
Really?
Dude, because the fact that all the characters, were strong female characters, who stayed on their own for the most part.
I could tell you right now why you like 10-2, because you're an action gamer. And 10-2 was way more action.
Very accurate, yes.
Yes.
You like your action games, and boy...
Screw this summoner, give her guns!
And here's what I'm going to say about Final Fantasies.
No, I know.
I can't say any of the Final Fantasies are as bad as some of the other third-party stuff I played.
But,
I mean...
Man, but
I can.
Every other character...
I can.
Every other character was more interesting than this main character, Titus, I just, really... Well, actually,
your father didn't love you. We get it. Move on.
I take that back because I didn't like Titus. I did not like Waka.
Nobody cares about the Jack shot.
Yeah, he was again another bland character.
Come on, guys, it's Blitzball. It's the greatest game ever.
I like the idea of Blitzball. I mean, that's such a cool.
I actually spent most of my time finding a good team, ditching most of the team there.
Did you get
from random peasants and players, people, I've been in cities,
Did you get the Jack shot? Did you get the Jack shot?
I did actually.
Oh yeah.
You want to know something sad, guys? I did not get the Jack shot.
Well, if you were gonna play that, you needed to get the Jack shot.
But
because
Waka was just he was boring. What did he do? Oh. He threw a ball at the enemy.
Walk up, because if you got a bird, I could totally throw a ball.
Yeah. Lulu, I loved. She was great.
Character.
She was a great character. Sir Aaron. Oh, he was badass beyond belief. Good mentor character. Very mysterious, very cool looking, telling people that and there were some elements cool for the storyline. Obviously, the bad guy was. Really? I love that. I like the twist, though. I did like the twist, of saying that, okay, well, you need to defeat, the mighty Sin, and how you do it by having your one true friend, was it, or loved one, whatever, sacrifice himself to become the new summon. And then once you killed Sin, you became Sin. Then
we should probably put spoilers in this.
No, you know what? No, we're not putting spoiler alert on decade-old games.
Yeah, 10's been out for a while.
It'd be a problem for me. I would have to agree with you, except for they re-released that stuff recently. So
I'm crying a little bit on the inside because I didn't even think that 10 was a decade old. But now that I think about it,
buddy.
Oh man. But guys, seriously,
it was just lack of that there. Other characters just being overshadowed, and just. A lot of dialogue actually, despite having interesting characters, felt forced. Honestly, yeah, exactly. That particular one comes to mind foremost there.
I didn't think Final Fantasy X was the greatest game of all time. I did think it was a good game, a really good game for that matter. I thought it was better than Charlie's Angels. And I definitely did.
How are you bringing a movie to this?
Because
it's what he's calling
really?
10-2.
10-2.
Oh, okay.
Hey, it was a story of three little girls.
I thought he was talking about Charlie's Angels, the video game, because that actually came out.
Wow. Okay. No one.
I like 10-2, dude. Honestly, I like the.
To each their own.
I like the class system.
I'm not sitting here judging you about that. I just didn't like the game choices you had. But this one was. I actually wanted to talk a little bit about something that we didn't hit on at all, and we did now something I know nothing about, and I hope you guys can, feed this beast. But the online Final Fantasies. We didn't talk anything about the online Final Fantasies.
God help us!
Wow, that negative reaction in Drew's face, guys. If you can see Drew's face.
I've never played them.
Oh, you never played them?
No, I can't contribute to this.
I played them.
Okay,
we have a victim.
Jeff would like to talk now.
A voice.
Oh, God, it was.
Go ahead. There's two of them, to my knowledge.
Yeah, there is.
Okay, why don't you talk about the first one?
I only played the first one, right? But that was enough to scar me from there playing those.
That was 11 for those of you out there.
Oh yeah, Final Fantasy 11.
So it was truly that bad. I mean, Final Fantasy, in my mind, is a great series, and I actually like the idea. I was like, wow, they're going online. So what's so horrible about it?
I'll be with you in a second after Jeff goes over.
All right, so from my first initial things, I forget what class I was playing. I think I was playing a monk. I think I was playing big characters, you know, and I was playing a monk. I was trying to punch things. That's
what a monk does. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's slow. Like
laggy?
walking. Like walking was bad. You know, like I felt like horribly like slow. I'm like walking, you know, or running. Sorry, running felt like walking. There was that, right? 2, you didn't know who was the quest giver. You literally had to talk to random people in a town to see if anyone had a quest.
They didn't have any of those classic exclamation marks or no.
Like in World of Warcraft. No, they had nothing like that. You know, no way to tell a person had any minute quest for you. You know.
Granted, Final Fantasy kind of does that, and I know it's a bad idea in an MMO, but like that's kind of Final Fantasy style as opposed to you walk around a town and you figure out. I guess it wouldn't work out too well in an MMO.
When you have an open, you know, say, world with supposedly a storyline, you should at least have some sort of, you know, like compass or something going. Hey, don't.
So no guidance is what
there
you're
was
saying.
no guidance in the game. There, no like. Again, I never got any abilities. I think I got to like level 2 or 3 or 4, I think, before I stopped playing. And I didn't learn any abilities, so I'm like, okay, so I don't think, you know, there's that. So unless I had to walk around to find the monk trainer, or whatever class I was, it was boring. No one was on, you know, or if anyone was on, you know, and this was before they did the whole, what was it? It implemented a new feature where you can actually lower, like the high level people can lower the levels here, so they can help lower people out.
So you would be put at the same level temporarily?
Yeah, temporarily. You still can have your
Actually,
main
I like that idea. I have not seen that one.
Yeah, fortunately, they implemented it way too late.
Someone else did that way better. Guild Wars 2.
I have not played Guild Wars 2, but
They have that for sections.
But it was implemented, I think, you know, way too late. You know, people were, you know, and unfortunately, you know, it was an online game. Of course, it was, you know, competing with the likes of Warcraft, and no one could really, you know, stay competitive Warcraft without going free to play, you know, and other stuff. But anyways, it was just so I had no one to help me out ever. I mean, my friends who were playing there, they were high level, so they're on the high level area. There's barely anyone running in the noob areas, you know.
That's fine. Nobody around to stab you in the face. That's how I used to feel about old RPGs online.
I don't even know there was even PvP going on that part, you know, so I don't know if I could do that in the first place. So I'm just walking around, you know, trying, you know, just like punching things randomly in the face, you know, because I was bored, you know.
All right, so quick question, and this is the ultimate comparison. What would you rather be playing? Like somebody put a gun to your head and said, you have to play an MMO completely through from level 1 to max. Ready? Final Fantasy 11 or RuneScape?
Oh my goodness. Do I have an infinite amount of money?
I do 11.
Actually, that's kind of unfair.
Because you can't play RuneScape all the way through unless you have an infinite amount of money.
Apparently, you have an infinite amount of money. You have a magic genie that gives you infinite money.
I would do 11 because
or a Game Shark.
At least I'm, you know, aware of 11, you know, like I'm no one games up into. I have not played.
Yeah, I'd still play 11 too.
All right, so according to Jeff and Phil, better than RuneScape. Moving on. No, I'm just kidding, guys. But yeah, so 11 was horrible. Has anybody played the other one?
No. And I haven't heard a thing, you know, honestly about it. I have not heard, you know.
When I saw, I don't know if it was the new one or Final Fantasy 11, but when I saw like the trailers for it, I was honestly impressed. There's a bunch of black mages, like, you know, that's 20 of them just raining meteor. It looked like, you know.
That's probably the newer one, because the newer one they made it more action oriented to look like, you know.
And like, you would probably enjoy it.
We are you know, we are the people of a fallen, you know, race or, you know, country or whatever, you know. I'm sorry. First thing in my mind, I'm sorry. But it just seems a lot more thing, but I haven't heard anything from it yet. I mean, I don't know if people are still playing it or if it felt, you know. I think that was the biggest mistake on, you know, Square Enix's part, is that they really should just kept it to a, you know, one player RPG, you know, instead of trying to open it up here, unfortunately, because it's just
my question.
You lose the appeal. You know.
No, I understand.
The immersion of the characters. You know, of the story, of the villains. You know.
Okay, now I understand that. Now I hate
the characters because you know what, people are douchebags online. You know. I mean, I rather would get them to know, say, the Lulus, the VVs, Zidanes, you know, the Clouds, you know, and any other version of these characters than say, you know.
Well, that's a classic.
Say John the asshole here because he's an elitist.
Jeff, that's a classic problem with MMOs, where when you are playing a single-player Final Fantasy game, you feel like you are one of the main characters. In fact, in most RPGs I played where you got to name the characters, I would name the characters after people I knew and myself personally. Drew, you've gotten many guest spots in my RPGs.
Oh, right.
I actually knew a friend before he moved to Florida. He actually had a friend, a chick who played Final Fantasy VII there, who named her Cloud Hottie, actually. So then they talk to him, you know. They go, hey, Hottie, you know.
Well, there's always that guy. You know?
That chick in this case, but now thinking.
I'd like to stray.
I do like the rename thing, you know, obviously, but in the later ones, like say 10.2, you know, you had these characters, you know.
But I'd like to stray a little bit away from Final Fantasy because I am curious about Phil's opinion about something. Now, this is, of course, RPG.
Oh no!
Yeah. Oh no! RPG. Now, you were talking about Guild Wars 2 a little bit.
Yeah.
I think when I played the first Guild Wars, and I honestly think the first Guild Wars was a very overlooked MMO.
Agreed.
I totally liked the system. I was a dual class elementalist necromancer.
Because you knew what you were doing.
No, I had no idea. They just sounded cool.
It's an awesome combination.
It is an awesome combination. Throwing fireballs and,
raising the dead.
Yeah, throwing fireballs, raising the dead. But Guild Wars 2 I haven't played. And another advantage Guild Wars has over what you call it, RPGs, most MMOs anyway, is you have to pay far out the ass for most RPGs. But Guild Wars, you pay once, you're done. Like, you get this amazing, immersive multiplayer experience, and you don't have to pay for it. But what about Guild Wars 2 really?
Alright, so it's definitely more interesting for like, the customization with characters.
Is that a lot better than Guild Wars 1? Because that's a problem.
I think it's much better for Guild Wars 1 because Guild Wars 1 had one main problem I had with it. After you got out of Noob Town and Noob Sylvania, you had literally this. It's like party up or die.
No, they had the AI to fly around. That was actually not bad, unless that was still in the noob area.
No, that was still in the noob area. It was not that bad, but like in the aftermath where it's a charred wasteland of things.
Yeah, I mean,
you had to have people with you, or somehow grind, or because how Guild Wars cut down on a lot of its expenses, because in a rather innovative way, is that the town is the actual place where you're meeting up everybody, and that's the place where everyone's online. The second you go outside the town to the actual area,
it's
an
an instance. Yeah,
exactly.
One of my favorite games, and a lot of people in this room have played it and loved it, and it was a very underrated game, and it died terribly by a terrible company. Of course, I am talking about Dungeon Fighter Online.
Why you gotta say that, man?
I know they're working on it, guys. They are working on a new copy and a decent.
Yay! They're working another Time Vampire. I love it. Love everything about it.
DFO was an amazing game. Streets of Rage meets RPG. What a freaking concept! I loved it.
There were so many clones and likes, and I tried my damnedest to get into any of the ones that were available, and I couldn't. Nope. I could not see my way to another version, to another type, to another dance that they had out there. I can't. I literally can't even.
Because, Drew, me and you, I know this for a fact, can talk about DFO like we talk about a classic game like Final Fantasy III. Like, it was just that good. It was the
only RPG that I could solo comfortably and not have to worry about partying, but partying still also felt really cool.
The community, and most communities are and a lot of MMOs are either really good or non-responsive. I remember because there was an anime posted along with this, and one of the catchphrases was "Party Call."
Yeah.
And the second you go into an area and say "Party Call," literally you have everyone just volunteering for whatever stupid thing.
Party Call.
And it's like you just sound the horns, and it's like, and we're a team, and you may have just made friends, and that was awesome.
Now here's a disadvantage I had with DFO actually. The disadvantage was, to me, that I liked the community feel of RPGs. Like with people, wow, they really get into it. I'm sure Jeff here can attest to this. But you have to almost form a community. You form a guild and you hop on your Vent or your Skype or whatever type of communication device you want, and you meet up every Tuesday or something like that, and you really hash it out with people. You get to know them, you get to play with them. It's great. DFO, unfortunately, was so quick that it wasn't needed. You didn't need, unless a game it's weird, because unless a game forces you to have a community feel, you don't.
Although saying that, we did have a guild.
Well, we did have a guild just to see if our friends would be online, because we got each other into DFO. Like, I don't think I started, but I was definitely one of the first ones.
One of our friends who's out in the hinterlands. I know he's one of them who started, and that was an amazing.
Derek was playing it, and I'm sorry to mention people that the cast doesn't know. Derek is a person we know, and he
person of interest.
Yeah, and he was playing it actually before it came to the English version. It was like the Korean version of Dungeon Fighter Online. And it was still pretty awesome. Like, I was seeing him play it. I was like, what are you playing? He's like, an RPG where I get to beat up people. I was like, oh my god, this is awesome.
See, I played a little bit after that, and then I kind of forgot about it, and then lost my account in between computers.
Right.
And then came back, couldn't remember, started an account with you guys, forgot all the passwords to that, accidentally entered in my old account stuff. I'm like, who are all these characters?
No, that's but I was just I thought I'd throw in a couple RPGs that were not necessarily Final Fantasy, but definitely like made us remember and think about things.
I'd like to go back to 11.
Go for
it. All right, so now here's 10 and 11 for me. 10, I like 10. It had a lot of weird parts to it, but find a game that doesn't. When I saw 10, I'm like, all right, cool.
There's Jeff with his 10 machete.
They're going in. I felt with 10, they're going in the right direction. I don't feel they're there yet with 10, but I felt like, okay, now it's a game where you can go and switch your entire party out. Awesome. You no longer have here's 3 people just standing by. I can just go and throw my party in and out. You had the board where you could customize things in such a way that you had nowhere near the customization level before.
Didn't have positives per se, but it's just the character.
Dude, I agree. You have your opinion on it, and I can definitely get behind that opinion because there was some weirdness. There was some weirdness.
Yeah,
there.
I mean, don't know. I like that. Just bring
but I felt like had they followed that pattern, the next 2 or 3 games would have been amazing. And then 11 happened. 11 was I believe such a huge misstep for a number of reasons. I know there's fans of 11. That's fine. I will never,
those 3 people playing it right now, that's good.
I'm never going to be down on anybody for liking a game. Good. We need more people who like games.
Oh, absolutely. Hopefully not that game.
11 went and took the name of a setting that I liked, Ibelice, and just completely changed around things. And Drew, I know you're looking at me because you know part of this that I don't know.
Which particular part are we talking about?
Because I didn't have the Nintendo handheld, so I didn't get to play the other Tactics.
You're referring to the Tactics Advance series, Tactics Advance on the Game Boy Advance.
Oh yeah,
and Tactics A2 for the DS.
God damn it, judges!
I never got to play that, and I hear that's what 11 came from. But the problem with 11 is 11, hadn't been on its own. It came out at a time where, honestly, I didn't have that good of an internet connection. I don't think my friends had a good.
A lot of people didn't have a good internet.
It was not a great time for.
Well,
yeah. So you,
yeah.
Gee.
Go on, guys.
Yes, computer connoisseur, we got it.
But what I'm saying with that is that I believe for what was a really big fans of Squaresoft always wanted to see what they're coming out with next, and to go and say, here's not only a game, here's a game and a series of updates for this game that you have no access to. And I thought that was kind of a slap in the face to a lot of fans, and then they went and they did 12. 12 is my least favorite Final Fantasy.
Wait.
Far and away.
I'm gonna throw the same bullet I threw at Jeff earlier. Where's the Mystic Quest? Come on, guys.
Yes.
Mystic Quest, really?
Yes.
All right. I can't talk bad about something I haven't played, dude.
That's true. Okay, that's absolutely true. But you have played Mystic Quest.
Mystic Quest is undeserving of the title Final Fantasy.
Let's assume that this was an actual Final Fantasy game, and you were comparing it to 12.
Still.
Wow.
And why I'll say this, first, have you played 12?
You know what? I have not. I actually stopped my things at, and Jeff is going to love to hear this, 10-2.
Alright, here's why 12 was terrible. 12 tried to be an MMO as a single player, and that is so mind-bogglingly backwards. So counterintuitive.
Why would you do that? Like, give me some examples. Like, how did it do that? Like, random quests you did over and over again? Like, give me 12 heads?
A bunch of feeder quests. It's like, I need you to go and kill 5 chocobos because I hate them chocobos. It was completely. You just had areas where you wandered around, where you encountered monsters, and then they had what was the worst thing, the Gambit system. The Gambit system is a macro. All right, for those of you who don't know, that is basically it's like a chain of commands for what your character is supposed to do, and you could do that as you unlock Gambits, which you unlock them pretty fast. You unlocked everything pretty fast in that game. You could say, all right, if I see villain, attack with this, and have them do this, and you could just put these orders, and the game played itself. I've had friends because this was the PlayStation 2, rig their PlayStation 2 controller so it just kept running around in circles in an area, leave it on for a night, come back, and they were level 99.
Well, okay, I'd actually like to add an addendum to this. I think it was Final Fantasy X-2 that I saw this happen with. And Jeff, help me out here because this was one of your games.
Yeah.
In the game, you got. It was some sort of like skill points for each of your classes. Is that right?
You got class spears though, and you put them in. You had like templates.
Yeah, you had the garment grid system, and then you had spears to put in the garment.
So like a takeoff of the grid system,
right?
This might have not been the same game, but if you used your ability, I can't remember. It was one of the Final Fantasy games, and I think it was around that era of 10-2. If you used one of your abilities, like you would level up that class ability, and I don't remember exactly what it was. I had a friend though, pretty much have 3 abilities set off that were free for MP. One would heal, one would do like some sort of gun tactic, and the other one would do something that was also free of MP.
Mm-hmm.
And they would take down the controller for an easy enemy, and they just keep doing that to themselves and not attacking the enemy at all, and letting the enemy attack them. He'd go to sleep, wake up, and all of his class things were maxed out.
It's kind of like 12, but 12, imagine 12, instead of having a grid system, had a chessboard for some reason. So, and you could unlock things, and another thing, 12 had. I'm just going to keep on going off on this.
Just real quick, Phil, I know you, the people listening to the podcast cannot see Phil's expression, but he was just enraged with this game. Like his face was just lit up with, oh, fuck this shit.
Okay, so
go on. I'm sorry.
System, brilliant idea. You have to make choices. You have to make where do I want to use this sphere? Do I want to have it here? Do I want you to be real tactical? You can customize your characters, and unless you ground to the point of just ludicrousness, you weren't going to unlock everything. Some people did, because they're awesome.
Completionists.
Completionists. Yep, props to you. 12. Their checkerboard system, their chessboard system, what have you. Easy to unlock everything. You unlocked everything so quickly, because it was easy to grind and nothing mattered. And everyone else outside of your party who you hadn't been leveling got the same points, so they could unlock their system too. So you had everyone, like I want to say not even a quarter of the way through the game, you could have everyone with all of their summons unlocked, all of their special abilities, all of their classes, all of it unlocked.
So like a level 2 ultimate?
It was ridiculous.
Ultima, rather?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And for most part, until you hit that escalation issue that so many RPGs are famous for, if you ran into a boss, you could go and say, I'm just going to do my final attack, which unlike other games where, you get a bar and you fill it up and, you're going to unleash your attack, this one you could just unleash them and kind of slot machine your way through doing it. And then you could just go through all your guys, and if your main party didn't kill them, which most of the time it did, you brought your other party in that you weren't even touching or leveling, did all their final attacks for them, and that would normally kill it.
So you're pretty much saying the game was terrible because it gave you too much power all at the same time.
Well, that and I didn't like the plot, but
That I didn't like the story. It was just nasty.
Why are you sky pirates? Two of your main characters are sky pirates. One is, Mustadio 2. Another is the Super Bunny. And you're sky pirates and you never get into an airship. The whole world is riddled with these teleport areas that I wonder, why would anyone develop any sort of thing? Because you can teleport from city to city no matter how far away they are.
Oh man, they're going to send you a letter. They're going to be like, Dear Phil, because fuck you, Sky Pirates, that's why.
You can't be sky pirates if you never go up into the sky. That's all I'm saying. We have this ship. I want to be a sky pirate just like you. At what point did they ever give proof that those guys were sky pirates? Because I never saw a ship. Or at least I never saw them fly it. Oh, and the character design for Moogles was terrible. Terrible.
Anyway, okay, so I think we have beaten Final Fantasy to death here. I think we have mentioned just about everything. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I feel like the horse is quite dead. We can leave it or bury it.
We have covered the Final Fantasy thing. I just want to say a couple things to wrap it up, unless anybody here has anything else to say about any Final Fantasy games or any Squeenix game that they feel is extremely important and need to mention.
I'm pretty sure that horse is dead.
Yeah.
All right, guys. A couple things just in general about the podcast then. Like I said before in the middle of the podcast, if you didn't catch it, we do not own Final Fantasy III. Seriously. Square Enix, please don't send us any letters. We love your games. Most of them.
I still bought 12.
Mystic Quest. Come on, what were you guys thinking? But, yeah, and 12 apparently too. I'm gonna play that game. I'm gonna play 12 for 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna play 9 pretty much all the way through. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, you should. That's exactly what you should do.
See, we give you great advice here at the League of Extraordinarily Large Gentlemen. A couple things. First of all, if you have anything, we just made this topic up. When I got here tonight to the League, they were like, let's talk about Final Fantasy. So I was like, all right. But if you have anything you want us to talk about, please leave it in the comments section below. Also, subscribe to us. That would be great. We need, mindless followers.
And some mindful ones would be lovely too.
Nah,
do we have an email address for this beast yet?
Not yet. Next week, guys, I will set up an email address and maybe a Twitter. What do you guys think? A Twitter? Twitter seems to be a great way to communicate with just everybody. But what do you guys think?
Let's start with the email. Let's see where we're at with that, and then if you want to farm the Twitters, I won't stop you.
I personally don't think. I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about this off of the recording, but I personally don't think we need a lot of email. I think we should just go off the comments section. Speaking of the comments section, though, there was a comment last time.
Yep.
Woo!
Yeah, and that's I believe that was Jacob.
I believe so. He was telling us the name of the game that we were talking about with The Simpsons, and that was Simpsons Road Rage, right?
Yes, so hats off to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for commenting. We totally appreciate that, but keep those comments coming. We would like more than one.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be great. And hit that subscribe button, so you can know when our next episode. We plan to be doing it every week at about Friday, and we do not know when on Friday we're going to get out, so don't sit there, till 3 o'clock in the morning going, God, when's the next league thing coming out?
And we know that's what you'll do.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we have such hardcore fans. It's ridiculous. We want to have, we're going to have special
There we go
guests.
again, self-flagellating. Get the whips out.
We're going to have special guests on here, but the core people you're hearing tonight are the League of Extraordinarily Large Gentlemen. And even though, and I'm going to mention this, Jeff is not an extraordinarily large gentleman, and ladies, he's available.
Well, we maybe not in the same mass sense that the rest of us are.
but still extraordinarily large in the awesome sense. But yes, this is the main thing. We're going to have guest speakers. I'd like to have a few people on here that are great nerds that can definitely add to our conversations. But right now, this is the core group. If you like to hear, actually, in the comments section, another thing. If you'd like to hear more from one of us or less from another, let us know. And, we'll tell each other to shut up or talk more, depending on what you want. And that's what we're all about, right, guys? We're all about what these guys want. We want to talk about...
I love how you're looking at me with that less of thing.
Yeah, Phil, you need to shut up.
Cattle prod at the ready, sir.
Oh, man. But, yeah, that's about it for tonight. Anybody have any closers to say or anything else to say?
No, I'm solid.
Yeah? Jeff?
Good. I'm good.
I will quote my favorite
Devin.
movie. Wherever you go, there you are.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's something. What movie was that?
Oh, I don't know. See if anyone can get it in the comments.
There you go. Say it one more time really clearly for us.
Wherever you go, there you are.
Yes, and 14 seconds later with a quick Google search, somebody's like, I know that movie. I knew it all along. But hey, if you put it on there, we will give a shout out to you the next thing, just like our first commenter.
Yes.
So yeah, that was our first commenter ever. Thank you very much for commenting, by the way. Go you. What was his name again, Phil?
Jacob.
It was Jacob. Yeah, go Jacob. All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful evening. We will talk to you next Friday here from the League of Extraordinarily Large Gentlemen.